Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Tosh Customs and today we will be looking at my custom Vengeance Batman. This is an original idea that was kind of based off some of the like Punisher Warzone-esque looks and really, really playing off the concept of what if Batman killed. Because, we see a Batman who kills in the Flashpoint story with Thomas Wayne, but we don't really get too many looks at a Bruce Wayne who kills. Bruce Wayne, our standard Batman is really written in a way that he stays true to form and that he doesn't kill. I feel like our first real look at a Batman who is a little bit darker in that sense and who was willing to cross that line was like Ben Affleck's Batman. But I was like, what if from the start Batman said, I'm willing to kill? I guess the only other version who does that is like in the Batman Who Laughs storyline, those multiverse Batman, there's the Grim Knight. But, that's really our only other look. And the Grim Knight suit was cool, but I didn't like all the guns on his back. I thought it was just a little crazy. And then his suit looked very much like a Batman suit. But, if you have someone who, kills, who's using a lot of guns, he's going to need a lot of pouches, he's going to need ammo, he's going to want body armor because he's getting into those like heavy assault type fights. So, all that in mind, I wanted, a semi, still incorporating the tech, but a much more grounded, tactical looking Batman figure. And the Grim Knight played with a lot of bright silver, and this guy I wanted to tone it down a lot more, keep it to the grays and the blacks. And really be sparse with the metal so that he's not shiny, but he's still moving through the darkness, through the night. But he's got some big guns with him. So without further ado, here he is. I do have him carrying some of his accessories already because, he just looks so cool kitted out. But we're going to look at all the accessories right now. So I'll kind of, as I take him apart, we'll kind of go over them. So he does have a grenade in his left hand right now, and he does come with 2 of them. I have a shotgun strapped onto his back right now, so we'll remove that shotgun, and it's just in a loop on the back right there. Then he's also carrying his G36, so we'll take that out of his hand, put that on the side, and then he also has 2 pistols that he's holding. So these look like Berettas or Desert Eagles. I think Desert Eagles. So he's got 1 Desert Eagle right there, and then he does have a second Desert Eagle in his right holster, and then there are also 2 extra spare mags for the pistols that are being held in his vest. So this one's always a little tougher to get out. There we go. It just gets stuck in there sometimes. All right, so now we have all his accessories off him. I'm going to pop off the head with the scarf, and we'll take the body, put it off to the side, and take a look at all the accessories. So since I'm holding the head, we're going to start with this one. This was inspired off the Robert Pattinson Batman, but also I was just kind of thinking of war paint and everything like that. And so, I really like this idea of getting that like grease paint around the eyes. I also think it makes the whites of the eyes stick out a lot more, and I feel like that's just really creepy. And then even this, if he's looking down, you're getting just those empty eye sockets, which once again is, more of that skull, that death, some of that Punisher type look. And so I really like that. I really didn't have to paint anything else. I like the skin tone that Mezco did with this guy, and I like that they kept some gray in his hair too. I don't imagine this Bruce to be young. I imagine him to be like, 30s. He's not a young year 2 Batman. He's, the police hate him, and he's been doing this for a while now. He's just as much a criminal as the criminals he kills. So with that, I also do have this scarf for him, mainly just to help conceal his identity and keep more of that low-level look. And I do feel like this does sort of like an outlaw vigilante. It almost reminds me of like bandits from the cowboy days in some regards. And so this just slips over his nose. You just slip it around the back of the head there. Just kind of put it over and then just plug the head in. And it sits nicely. It sits nicely once it's like in the collar of the vest, but right now it's just a loose piece of pleather cape. So we'll put those off to the side, just toss them back there. Looking at the other head now, I am using the angry short-eared Batman head sculpt from the Sovereign Knight. And what I did was, it's normally sort of like a semi-gloss black. So up front here, I totally dry brushed it flat black. And then I also hit it with some black gray and then just a tiny bit of gunmetal. And so I brushed it, all my brush strokes were just throwing backwards like that. And so because of that, you get this really nice sort of brushed sheet metal kind of look on his helmet, and you get some of that sparkle. And so what I think is really cool about that is it really looks like a hard plate bulletproof metal. And that's what I was going for with this, is that, you know, I don't want this to, I mean, we all know Batman's helmets are bulletproof, but more so that I wanted to get across that really, really hard look, something a little bit even more industrial and a little bit more worn than standard. And then I was looking at the Arkham games, and something really cool that they did was they didn't make Batman's eyes all white. They have it this opaque so that you can see the pupil through it. And so I worked really hard to do that in there. And so I think you guys can see that there's a little bit of blue. Ooh, my camera can focus. There's a little bit of a light blue inside that eye. Let me see if I can get this autofocus to work here. There we go. Yeah, now you can see it. There's a little bit of a light blue right behind the eye there. And so I actually painted a sky blue and then repainted the eye white in really thin layers so that that color still shines through. And I think that makes sense because, you know, if his helmet has lenses on it, you know, you would still probably be able to see the eye, you know, just like sunglasses, you can still, you know, generally see the eye through it. And so trying to work with that idea. And so I kept those pupils visible through. And in some ways it gives it even a more unnatural look because it almost looks like he's blind or something. Blind like a bat, I suppose. And the scarf does work with this head too. And so I'll do both head sculpts on there later. I think the Grim Knight also uses a little bit of a scarf, but I think it's a little bit longer and just kind of wraps around the mouth. And so this one is more just supposed to almost like extend up, like almost like a turtleneck or something that he's pulling over his mouth there. Moving on to his large assortment of weapons. Actually, we'll do the hands first because I can just put all the hands out of the way. These are Supreme Knight hands, and all I did was I just did a little weathering on them. I just made them a little bit more worn, just a tad of brown in there. I really just tried to get some dirt in there, nothing really spectacular. Otherwise, they're just basically the standard hands. Yeah, I made slight modifications, but nothing crazy. The hands were perfect. There is one hand that I should talk about, you know, just in case any of you guys want to follow the recipe. I'm just going to drop the hands off to the side for now to clear out some space. And that is the barrel holding hand of the Supreme Knight. He uses this with his big sonic disruptor cannon that he comes with. And I just dremeled out some of the inside of the hand there. You can kind of see that it's a little bit more worn out. And I just did that so that I could fit the grenades a little bit nicer into the hand there. They just tuck up inside if you just get that pin. Oops. Where'd it go? There we go. If you just take this pin and you just get it behind the thumb, just like so, it tucks into the hand really nicely. And the reason is I just had to make room for the pin and part of the grenade there. I just had to Dremel that out so that this can now slot in nicely. So yeah, so he has that. It's a little finicky, but it's also a very tiny grenade, so, you know, not too bad. But once you pose him, it'll work. It's also really tough because I'm like looking through the viewfinder of the camera, so sorry about that. It keeps dropping. It holds a lot better, trust me. Another two accessories he comes with is I included 2 of these large batarangs. Once again, just going with that heavy-duty look. I mean, if Batman chucks one of these at you, I think you're a goner. And so he has 2 of them because I do like the idea of Batman dual-wielding. And so he can put these in both of his batarang holding / throwing hands. So he has one for each of these hands right here. So those are his batarangs. The other thing he does come with is the like bat karambit type look. And I think this is just really cool for interrogations. Batman takes someone to a rooftop or even just in an alley. You know, he's going off. So giving him one of these just to make the work a little easier. Putting the grenades off to the side since we already talked about them. I am including this sort of like long style revolver too. And I really just want this to be an alternate option for the side holster on his vest. because if you don't want 2 Desert Eagles, maybe he's going for something a little bit more unique. He can pull out a revolver. I was thinking about one of the Punisher movies. I forget which one it is. I think it's Warzone. But the Punisher does keep a revolver. His revolver's all kitted out. I think there's like a laser and like a big scope on it. But he does keep a revolver on him too. And so, you know, just maybe for a more powerful handgun if he needs it. He does have this option to switch out with one of the Desert Eagles. These Desert Eagles are 3D printed. I bought them from Action Figure Customs up in Canada. I sprayed these a semi-gloss black. They already came in black, but I sprayed them a semi-gloss black, and then also dry brushed some chrome silver. And so you get this really, really kind of like grimy metal look. And once we talk about the body and some of the other paint, you're going to notice that grimy is a word I use a lot because, I don't know, I felt like this Batman should be in the dirt and in the mud a lot. And I don't imagine someone who is really sort of this angry and vengeful to be like carefully designing and taking care of all his gear. He's really going out there for vengeance and to go on a rampage, and that's it. And so, you know, very worn down, beaten up guns right here. They do have a porthole for firing effects, but I don't believe they fit the Mezco ones. I'll be honest, I made this figure a while back, and I've had this guy in my back pocket for a while. And yeah, they're just a tad too small for the Mezco blast effects, unfortunately. So I don't, you know, it's a nice detail, but not something that you'll really be able to use unless you have your own custom ones, and I don't. The other cool thing about these is they do have removable mags, and these are super, super tiny. But you just kind of pinch it and pull them out. There we go. And I did paint all of these, once again, that semi-gloss black, and then painted all the rounds up there in sort of a gold. Yeah, really not even brass, just gold paint. And so both Deagles have magazines in them already, and then there are 2 more mags that come on his vest that you can store on his vest. So very nice bullet detailing there. And it's crazy how small these things are too. Super cool. Last but not least, we have our 2 larger guns, I guess not handguns, or I guess melee weapons. We have his shotgun right here. This was a cast that I bought from Resin Armory. If you've watched my videos, I got a lot of guns from him. And I'm slowly running out, so I actually was gonna place an order and I completely forgot up until now. So I do need to pay for that and order that from him. But this was just painted in a matte black, and I really just wanted to keep it simple and straightforward. I don't imagine he pulls the shotgun out a lot, and honestly, because it's slotting onto his back, I didn't want to do any crazy paint or finishes just for worry about paint rub over time, because it is a little bit of a tight fit, but it does work. And so I didn't want to do too much dry brushing on it, so just keeping it real nice, plain, and simple for the shotgun. And then finally, we have his G36. This thing I painted in, once again, a semi-gloss black, just due to the nature of how it was cast, and the original gun looks like it was probably printed just from the lines. It just shines a little bit. You know, I do have some gunmetal and some chrome silver on it, but it's naturally, even in like the flatter bits, or that look flat in light, it's still got a little bit of a shine, a little bit of reflection on it. But I like it. This is a super good model, and I tried to put as much detailing in as possible. And so working between some black and then also dry brushing some of that chrome silver and that gunmetal in those high parts. And so kind of picking out the barrel and even along the rail right there. And as you can see, I did put red on the iron sight. So we have red right there, as well as red looking down the iron sight. There we go, red looking down the iron sight, and it is on the other side of the sight as well. And then you can see, you can rack the gun. He's got his mag there. Still, even some little spots picked out in gunmetal along there. And he has that folding stock on it too. So we got the G36 out of the way. So that has been us covering the accessories. So now, since you saw him earlier with the scarf and unmasked head, I will put on his masked head. And personally, I feel like both heads should just be done with the scarf. I think the scarf just makes it look a lot better, but you could do him without the scarf as well. But for my purposes. I like to slot the scarf in first and just get it around the neck there, and then tuck the head in, and then plug it all down. And I feel like that gets a pretty good effect. And so yeah, it is a little Grim Knight-esque, but hopefully enough of a change that it doesn't feel like a copy. And for all things, that is always tough with working, you know, kind of on an original concept with the character that already exists, is, you know, how do I balance what I want to do while still staying true to the character and not looking like redoing what 1,000 other people have probably done or have thought of doing. So yeah, here we go. Once again, the concept was dark, grim, ready to battle, dirty and grimy. And that really comes through in the paint. So everything was sprayed with all the armor and the vests and stuff were sprayed with it turns out to be a semi-gloss black, but it's just Angelus leather paint. And it's acrylic based. I use it for practically everything at this point. You've heard me say this a lot. And then after that, I dry brushed it with an Angelus gray. And so as you can see, with the dry brushing over this soft 3D printed material, it gets this, It gets this nice sort of oily look. And that's really the only way I can describe it, because when you look at it straight on, it doesn't really look glossy, but once you kind of put it into the light, you get more of that shine and that sheen, especially like on these legs. It's a really, really smooth look. And so I feel like that's just sort of water-soaked mud and dirt, just sort of caked into the fabric and the material there. And so I like how that turned out. Even in painting the bat symbol on here, I wanted to kind of muddle the edges. And so I used a very, very thinned out paint. And so when you're looking at it, it's like you can see the bat symbol. The bat symbol's there. And if you have it in hand, you'll realize that it is painted pretty crisply, but just those edges, I left a little bit of some of that loose black there so that, you know, it's blended in. It looks a little bit more worn. Speaking of weathering, in all the cracks and crannies, there's a little bit of brown that's been put into the suit. You can see it right there. You can see it down there. The light is honestly kind of washing it out. So I have to keep it on like those, kind of keep the light out of it, but you can see some more brown over there. It's all down here in this lower plate or those lower padding. Then as you can see back here, we have more of that brown in there and just all around the suit. And so I thinned out some brown. I dappled it into the corners and then took a towel and wiped it out so that it just sat in the corners there. And so once again, just trying to get more of that mud caked into the armor. We have tactical Batman shoulder pads here. I was saving these. I was like, I know I want to do it on some kind of project, and I felt like this was a perfect one. Originally, I was going to use more of like just tactical bulletproof pads there, but you know, because it's Batman, he does need a little bit of that technological edge. You know, he's still Batman. He's still got some money behind him. So, you know, his gauntlets are going to be from the Supreme Knight, and then his shoulder pads are going to be from the Tactical Batman. And this whole body is actually the Sovereign Knight. And the reason why I went with this is I really do like sort of this chain metal, maybe carbon fiber-esque pattern going on with the rubber. And so this suit is just dyed black so that it holds to more of a darker gray color scheme. And then it allows that those light gray bits to stick out more. And so I like the idea of him having some kind of like carbon fiber woven suit, and then he's wearing more heavier hard plate armor over that. There's also a lot of little clip detailing on this guy, and so all these clips are picked out in a really nice gunmetal. As you can see here, we have all the buttons, the clips here. We have more buttons and clips up here on the collar, all the way around these straps, and as you can see back here, also on these pouches. And so just trying to find all the details that I can and pull them out of the figure so that it's all eye candy. That's the goal, is everything's eye candy. Coming to this side here, I pulled this piece off a Crossbones figure, and so I cut the holster off. Before it was dual holsters. And I was sitting there and I was like, I wonder what hand Batman is dominant in. So I Googled it, And most of the Google results turned out that it's kind of inconclusive. Batman seems to have just trained himself to be ambidextrous. But so I decided, well, hey, like more people are right-handed than left-handed. And you know, this kit, especially with this secondary pistol here, is definitely more right-handed sided. And then I was also saying, why would he need 3 pistols? Why does he need 1, 2, and a third? That seems kind of obnoxious. And then I was also thinking the proper way to shoot a gun is to have a supporting hand, whether you're shooting a handgun or an AR. You know, you want that supporting grip to keep your shot steady. And so I said, well, you know, Batman does things right. He trains well. He's very efficient and proficient. So I set everything to be right-sided. And so he's got the pistol holster on his leg, as well as the secondary one up on his vest. And so this instead is extra tools, a knife, probably some kind of wrench, maybe for the Batmobile, or maybe he uses a bat tank in this case. And then he also has his shotgun shells stored there as well. Speaking of right hand dominant and right-handed sided, the shotgun, when put through the strap right here, just slides through. It just wiggles in. It's pretty smooth overall. Wiggles in, sits there, and extends over the left shoulder. So Batman just has to reach across this side, grab it. Sorry, I realized I was really close to the camera there. He just reaches across and to grab the shotgun. So once again, right-sided, and then he can grab the shotgun shells from here and reload. So we have all that. Coming down now to the boots, I realize I'm not really talking about how the costume is all put together, so I should talk about that. Once again, we have the Sovereign Knight suit underneath that's been dyed black. For this whole belt and sort of like leg holster armor thing, these straps are soft plastic, and they come from the Green Arrow / Red Arrow figures, and so I cut the belt apart to use these as sort of the web gear, and then I have a pouch here, and then I also have a ton of pouches here. And the reason why I'm putting more on this side is, you know, if he's holding smoke bombs or other type of throwables or other kind of gadgets, once again, he's right-hand dominant, so he's going to be picking them up from here and throwing them, stuff like that. And so then this side, you know, I don't know, maybe carries a phone, or maybe just some extra ammo, something like that. So keeping it, you know, right-hand dominant, trying to make sure everything makes sense here. So we have that. And then coming down to the pants here, these are pants that I've had for a while. They're just some tactical pants. I think I got them from GPS Lot, but honestly, most of this guy was stuff that I've had for a while and just kind of been slowly accumulating. And so I've had them in my inventory for a bit. And then coming down to the boots, we do have the Supreme Knight boots. And once again, trying to get that really grimy look, and so sprayed it all black. Picked out just some bits and some gunmetal, and really just light dry brushing in the gunmetal. I wanted to keep it mostly that flat black color, and really just using some of the different glossy textures to pick out the difference in there. I didn't want it to feel too light of a gray or anything like that. And funny enough, in repainting, I almost felt like I was just remaking the boots, because I was hitting most of the same parts with gloss too. It's like, I shouldn't have painted the boots in the first place, but they are darker now, and so I think that works out pretty nicely. And then for the bottoms of the boots here, as you can see, all these little sort of claw grip pieces are done in more of a brighter gunmetal, but then I've also layered 2 different tones of brown over that, and so you can see the dirt that is kind of covering them. And once again, I know the light's shiny, but yeah, even like at this angle, you can see some of that brown coming through the black. And so I really tried to layer and dirty up the boots so that if whether he's running around rooftops or through alleys, you know, just dust and dirt accumulates there, and so they're all caked on in there. Like, he probably comes back from, you know, a night of doing his thing and just takes everything off and then just puts them on the next day. Once again, this Batman is vengeful and rageful. He's not the cold, calculated, strategic Batman that we all know and love. I imagine he's much more emotionally driven. And so, likewise, you know, he's not thinking about the next upgrade he can make. He's just trying to add to his arsenal to continue to grow his own, I guess, killing capability, really. So with that, let's load him all up. So I'm going to take the revolver. I'm going to put it into this side holster right here. And then we have his 2 spare mags. Just going to load these in there. Once again, this camera viewfinder makes lining up some of this smaller stuff a little hard to do. I apologize. Come on. Go, go, go. There we go. We have his other pistol, or his other mag, pistol mag. If it'll slot in. And then we have his deagle. We'll slot that right down there. And it holds very nicely too. Really good grip. All of this, the vest here and these lower pads are all 3D printed in a flexible resin from Action Figure Customs. Once again, so really great stuff. And then, since I do have this hand on already, you know, we'll actually just have him holding the G36 for now. He doesn't need to do everything else. So as you can see, we can just load him up like that. And he's ready to go. Oh, I also picked the little blades out in some silver, dry brushed some silver onto the edges there. Once again, just to get that worn out look to them. And so they are kind of faded. And really, all the paint on this guy, I was trying to give it a little bit of a fade. I didn't want anything to be crisp or sharp because none of the weathering on this guy is new. All of this is really just aged old chipped paint, or you know, just the oil and dirt of combat all stuck in, all really caked in there. There's also some more brown, as you can see right there, also in the leg pads, and so I really hit all the dirt in all the places I could imagine it would end up. The painting process for me was really just asking myself, if this guy jumped into like a giant mud puddle and then continued running or fighting, what would be the places that dirt caked on? And so he's even got some brown up here in the shoulder pads as well. A little bit more sparingly, but still some in the deep cracks and crevices there. So just like if you're drawing and, you know, thinking about shadows, or even painting and thinking about shadows, if you like more of that exaggerated paint style where you do your highlights and your lowlights, I think it's called zenith or something like that. If you're, you know, if you're into that, you know, you're still considering, you know, what are your light sources, you know, where are your highlights and your lowlights, and how do those get affected by your colors and stuff like that. Same thing for this guy, but all in just a more drab tone. And so just asking myself, you know, how does water move? How does water sink in? How does mud cake? And trying to, as best as possible, replicate that on this guy. And so there's a lot of detail in hand. There's a lot of little gunmetal dots that have been picked out on the armor. Yeah, I mean, I could talk about this all day, but really just to point out that I put a lot of work into this guy, and I'm pretty happy with how he turned out. I really like him. I'll probably sell them when I post this on my page. I'm filming this on Friday, so this will go up Saturday, tomorrow. So you guys should see some kind of listing post. I don't know how much I'm going to charge for them, honestly. I'm thinking probably about like 300. But yeah, really, really a fan of how this guy turned out. I feel like he's armed to the teeth, and I'm really trying to take this concept and really run with it as far as I can. So I did my best to consider all the things he'd be wearing, all the gear he'd be using, and making sure that it's realistic and functional, and really serves Bruce Wayne's purpose for going after those bad guys. So, I guess the only other thing I should do is, you know, since he's kind of Punisher inspired with the whole skull on the chest inside the bat and everything else, because I feel like that might be the coolest part of him, really, is that white there. And I realized I didn't talk about it at all, so maybe I should for a sec. So I hand-painted the bat symbol in, and then after that, I thinned out white paint, and I did really thin layers of white to just kind of mark out the eyes and the nose and where I wanted those skull lines to go down. I have a super thin brush. I just buy them from Michael's, but their measurement is 20/0. So I don't know what that, I'll be honest, I'm not fluent in paintbrush terminology in terms of what that actually means in terms of measurement, but I think mine is called a 20/0 spotter, or maybe an 18/0 spotter. And so I use that, it's super like fine needlepoint, but I use that to just sort of etch out the areas that I wanted the skull to be in. And then once I did that, I filled them all out and made them that much more clear, high contrast white. And then any of sort of the uneven bits, I came back with the super thin black and just shaped it up so that it looked as symmetrical as I could possibly get it. But now that we have Batman here in all his Punisher glory, why don't we compare him to my custom Punisher? So in terms of height, Punisher is a little bit squatting because he has to balance this Giganto minigun, and he keeps on wanting to lean forward, unfortunately. But as you can see, standing full height, I think even then, Batman's legs are also kind of spread. So Batman should still be taller overall. I think it's a mixture of the higher boots that come with the Supreme Knight that probably give him just that extra boost, because I do believe their like main body torsos as well as shoulders and arms are the same mold. I'm pretty sure Mezco uses the same mold for both of these guys. So I think it really just comes down to the length in the boots there. But yeah, I feel like these two would be a pretty gnarly duo if you put them together. That would be a cool crossover, a Batman Punisher crossover. Maybe Marvel's done it. Maybe the Marvel DC's already done it. But these guys look like they're ready to kick some butt. So thank you all for checking out this review. I appreciate all the support. Sorry if I sound a little unexcited. It's not because I'm not excited about this guy. It's because I'm a little bit tired. Just started school this week, my final semester. So that's pretty cool. So, yeah. I hope you really like this guy. I do. Like I said, I've had him in my back pocket for a while, and honestly, I've just enjoyed having him stand on my desk and on my shelf. I'm a huge fan of this guy, and while I'm knocking out the rest of my commissions, which include a New 52 Red Hood, a Jedi Sith conversion, yeah, those are the two I have left. I decided to pull this guy out and go, you know, it's about time I show him off. I think I finished him back in October or something like that. So I've just been enjoying keeping him on display for the time being. But yeah, since I did say I will have him posted for sale, you probably want to know where you can find me and where you can find that listing post. And that will be on my Instagram. My username is Tosh_customs. I will put my username in the description of this video, and if you want a link to my page, you can find it in the About section of the channel. If there's anything cool that you like about this guy, or if there's anything you'd like to see, or anything maybe that you'd like me to change structurally about the video, focus more on stuff like that. I feel like I'm repeating myself here. Please let me know in the comments. It's a new year and a perfect time to make a change. So yeah, thank you all for the support. I always appreciate your likes, you know, your comments, and if you feel so led, please subscribe. I appreciate all of your guys' support, and thank you all for watching this video if you made it this far. So until next time, I guess. Once again, I apologize. I'm a little bit tired, but I appreciate every single one of you, and any improvements you can help me make for this channel. I do want to be able to show off my figures and the customs that people ask me to create to the best of my ability, and hopefully help you guys just learn some of my technique, or maybe just sort of what I'm looking at and what I'm paying attention to as I'm designing these guys. So thank you all once again, and until next time, take care.